Okay, now today we're going to start with the fourth chapter, that is your consumer protection. Now, in our previous chapters, you have already done advertising, you have done marketing. So as per marketing, I hope you all know that consumer is considered as the king of the market, right? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, in the modern philosophy, we consider consumer as the king of the market, and every business house is expected to give or produce products which gives maximum satisfaction to the consumer, right? But in reality, what happens is consumers are often exploited. There can be many reasons for that. Sometimes firms have monopoly in the market. Many times it happens that majority of consumers are ignorant, they are illiterate, and they don't know what their rights are. So because of that, they are being exploited in the market quite often. Now, in this chapter, we're going to study about what is consumer exploitation, why it is necessary that we should protect the consumer. Then we'll also study about the Consumer Act, which has been passed by the government to help the consumer so that they cannot be exploited. Okay. Now, we come to the first topic, that is need for consumer protection. Yes? You all can hear me?
Yes.
All right. Should I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
The topic is need for consumer protection. Why do we feel that the consumers need to be protected? Why is it necessary? As you all know, that business is part of society. That means when you have to do business, you need material, you need manpower, you need machinery, and you need many other resources which is provided by the society. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. So when society is giving us everything to run our business, it becomes very important that the business also supply the right kind of goods at reasonable prices to the consumer. So that is why we want the consumer to be protected. The business houses should provide right product at reasonable prices. Second thing, it is the moral responsibility of every business to protect and promote the interest of consumers. When they start a business, it is their duty, it is their moral responsibility to do so. Thirdly, the main function of business is what? To satisfy the needs and expectations of consumer. When we are running a business, the business knows that if they satisfy the expectations of the consumer, they will earn profit in the long run. If they don't satisfy the expectations of the consumer, what will happen? The consumer will not accept their product, they will not earn profit in the long run. So the main function also states that the business house should protect the consumer's interest. Now the fourth point is the government of India is basically doing what they are doing for the, they're doing everything for the welfare of the general public. Am I correct? Yes. So what happens is the government of India encourages fair trade practices. When I say fair trade practices, this means they want all the business houses, they want all the shopkeepers to be fair in their dealing, to be fair in buying and selling of goods and services. All right. Then the point is nowadays consumers are becoming more and more aware of their rights. They are being educated, they are getting informed through television, through newspapers, and even nowadays we have consumer association who try to educate the consumers about their rights and duties. So these 5 points explains why there is a necessity for protection of consumers. Normally, this kind of question you get normally for 2 marks. So you can take any 2 points for writing this. You can even get a 5-mark answer, but yes, it will be clubbed with another question. All right? Clear, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now we come to the next topic, that is meaning of consumer exploitation. Now, what do you mean by consumer exploitation? Any idea?
Ma'am, where consumers are uh, charged high for, suppose like high for a product which has to be charged pretty low, then that would be consumer exploitation. Or even adulteration of goods can be consumer exploitation.
Absolutely correct. Now, consumer exploitation is a situation. It is basically when the consumers are being cheated by the producer or the traders. Now, the consumer can be cheated by the shopkeepers in many ways. Okay, sometimes they might give you a poor quality of goods. Sometimes they are charging you more than the MRP written on the product. So consumers are exploited in many ways. Now, sometimes the consumer feels cheated. Now, can you tell me why is consumer being exploited? Why the traders are cheating the consumers? What will they get?
So they can earn more profits or money. Maybe.
Absolutely correct. They will earn more profit in order to become greedy. In order to earn more profits, they are involving themselves in all these malpractices. Okay. So now it becomes the duty of every consumer that whenever he buys a product, okay, whenever he go out to buy a product, he should check all the details regarding to the product. He should insist on taking a cash bill or a cash memo. He should see whatever quantity he is buying is correct, okay, and also the quality. So it becomes the duty and the responsibility of the consumer to do so, to do the checking before buying the product. But the reason is because by being alert, he will not be exploited by the producers and the traders. Now we'll do the different types of consumer exploitation. Like just Sana mentioned, we have, you can see the different types of consumer exploitation. The first one is overcharging. I think from the word itself you can understand. Overcharging means they are charging high prices for a product. That means sometimes they put their own price tags on the product, and they are, or sometimes they are charging you more price than the MRP which is mentioned on the package. All right. Second thing is underweighing. What is underweighing, Kruti? Any idea? Kruti, what is underweighing?
Ma'am, like for example, when like grains के time grains buy करने के time पे they tell you it is of 50 gram, but it is actually of थोड़ा कम, and they charge you more for that. ऐसा कुछ तो.
Yes, that means they are giving you less quantity of a product, or they are weighing less, but they are charging you for the amount
More.
which you have asked for. Okay, they are charging you for more amount. So underweighing is basically again another type of exploitation. Then next is adulteration. I think this thing you must be very well aware of. Adulteration means mixing of undesirable elements in the goods. That means simple example is milk. You all know that many times what happens is they add what? Water to the
Milk.
they're doing it for why are they doing it? Basically to increase the quantity of. All right, so that is what adulterated. So when you are mixing something in a product, to increase the quantity, that is basically the adulteration. All right, that means it is not in the purest form for which you are paying money. Next is misleading advertising. Samradhin, can you tell me what you mean by misleading advertising?
Ma'am, sometimes they say that it's a sale, or you will get, if you come and buy this product, you'll get this free, but it's actually not that.
Okay. Or we can say that sometimes they are telling you something on your television or newspaper that, for simple example, you use this cream and you'll become fair within few weeks, but that is not true. Sometimes they tell you by using a detergent powder or by doing using this powder, you will get whitening of your clothes and 100% safedi and all that. So sometimes that is not true. So they are basically misleading advertising. Are you clear?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Ma'am.
One is not informing the consumers about the adverse impact of the product. Sometimes what happens is some companies do not mention on their products that this product can be harmful to them in some or the other way. So that is again a kind of exploitation. As per the government of India, as per the Consumer Protection Act, it is mandatory for all manufacturers to mention on the product if the product can have a side effect or the different precautions the consumer should take for a particular product. But many times it happens, the shopkeepers are not informing the customers about the bad effect of the product. So because of these 5 reasons, the consumers are exploited in many ways. Okay, now how can we stop this consumer exploitation? What steps can we take to stop the exploitation of the consumer?
Ma'am, the product should be checked by some head company before it goes out to the consumers.
That is on the part of the manufacturer and the producer. But what you have to do? How can the consumer stop exploitation from his end? How can he do that?
We should be aware about our rights.
Absolutely correct. Nowadays, the government is emphasizing on consumer awareness. Okay, nowadays everywhere. If you remember, I mean, on your television, you must have seen some ads like Jago Gra. Have you ever observed that?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes. So that is an attempt by the government and the consumer associations to make the consumer aware that whenever you buy a product, you have to be very careful. You have to be alert what you are buying. Okay, like I just mentioned, that you have to check quantity and quality of the product which you are buying. You have to ask for a cash memo. Okay, you have to be very careful about what you are buying so that the shopkeeper cannot exploit you. Okay, so nowadays a lot of emphasis is given on importance of consumer awareness, where consumers are basically because they are ignorant, they are themselves ignorant. But if consumer is aware of their rights, he will not be exploited by the shopkeeper. In fact, if he comes to know that he's being exploited, he can oppose it. Okay, so if the shopkeeper knows that the consumer is there, he knows everything, he himself would not like to exploit the consumer. Fine, are you clear?
Yes.
Okay, now in your textbook, they have given you a very short note on importance of consumer awareness. I'm going to give you proper notes on consumer awareness. All right, I would request all of you to learn this topic from the notes which I will put on WebGenie. Clear, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
I have given you few points here. We just discussed that, but in detail, I have given you more notes. You can learn any 5 points from those notes. All right, this question can come for a 5-mark answer. All right, now what is the importance of consumer awareness? The first point, protect against exploitation. I just explained you that if we are aware, we know our rights, the producer and seller will not be able to exploit. He will not be able to charge more for the product. He will not give us duplicate products. So the consumer becomes very alert and he will not be exploited by the producers. Secondly, it will prevent wasteful consumption. The consumer education and awareness basically motivate people not to purchase goods which are harmful for them. If you are a customer who is very aware of their rights and who is always checking what he's buying, so you will not unnecessarily go and buy goods which are harmful for you or which are not healthy for you. Correct? Next is legal protection. The consumer awareness programs and the consumer associations which are formed, they basically educate the customers how to go about a legal proceeding if they are being exploited by the shopkeeper. We have I'm going to talk about the Consumer Protection Act in the next slide. Under that, we have a proper consumer court. We have a proper machinery through which you can go for the legal proceeding if the exploitation done by the shopkeeper is they have done something which is very harmful for you, so you can approach the court and your compensation will be given to you. So through your consumer association, you can get legal protection also. So these are the reasons why we need to educate the consumer, why consumer awareness is very important. Are you all clear?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now before moving to the next slide, I want all of you to open page number 35. Now the first topic, that is 4.1, need for consumer protection. Please underline the first 2 lines. And in the third line, please underline right products at reasonable prices. The second point, please underline moral responsibility of business. Under the third point, underline satisfy needs and expectations, and underline the in the last line, earn profits, and the last word, long run. Fourth point, please underline Government of India. And in the last line, encouraging fair trade practices. And the fifth point, first line, more and more aware of their rights. And the last line, people conscious of their rights as consumers. So these are 5 points. And you can learn the keywords. Come to the next 4.2. Under meaning of consumer exploitation, please underline the first 2 lines.
Till various ways, no?
Yes?
Till various ways, no?
Yeah, still various ways. Then in the third line, same line, do not get value for their money due to dishonesty on the part of traders and manufacturers. Then come to 4.3, types of consumer exploitation. Underline all the 5 keywords: overcharging, underweight, adulteration, misleading advertising, and last one, not informing consumers. Now 4.4, I told you I'll be giving you notes on this.
Ma'am,
Please.
what does not informing consumers mean?
That means not informing the consumer about the bad effects of a product.
Acha.
They don't tell you what are the harmful or the side effects of a product. It has to be
Okay.
told to the consumer. So sometimes they don't do that. 4.4, please mention there, refer to the notes, which I'll be putting on WebGenie. But you can go through the 4-5 lines which they have given you. Just do a reading of that. Done?
Yes.
Now 4.5 is omitted. Please omit it. Methods are not there in the portion. Next thing, 4.6. We are going to do Consumer Protection Act 1986. Very important. Now I would like to start with the next topic. Now this is the Consumer Protection Act 1986. Should I start? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
The government have passed many laws and many acts to protect the consumer. But then there was a need for a specific law which was only for the consumer protection. So the Parliament of India passed the Consumer Protection Act basically to protect the interest of the consumer in India. Now, the basic purpose of doing was that they wanted to protect the interest of the consumers. Second thing, they wanted to protect and give speedy and simple redressal to the consumer grievances. Now, when I say speedy and simple redressal, this means the government wanted to give them a quick, speedy remedy or a solution or a compensation to the consumer in case he felt he was exploited by the shopkeeper. Now, for that, the government had said this, Consumer Protection Act had set up a 3-tier grievances redressal machinery. They had set up a 3-level machinery that where at the district level, at the state level, and at the national level. So 3-level machinery was set by the set by the act to give compensation to the consumers. So this was the main objective of the Consumer Protection Act. They wanted to settle the disputes of the customers and anything related to exploitation of customers. Are you clear?
Yes.
Are you all here with me?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Right. Now, children, this is very important. Your Consumer Protection Act. This normally comes in the board exam. They normally ask a question, why was the Consumer Protection Act passed? You can write 3 points which I have given you in objectives. It's also given in your textbook. They can even ask you, what is the objective of a Consumer Protection Act? So this question normally comes for 2 marks. You don't need to go in detail regarding what is given in the textbook. I'll make you mark what is not required to learn. You have to just learn the year of this act, Consumer Protection Act 1986. That's it. All right, other acts which are given in your textbooks are not to be done. Are you clear?
Yes.
Okay, so the objective basically was to provide better protection to the consumer, to protect their interest. Now, another thing which is very important in this topic is features of the act. In your textbook, they have given you around 11 features. I want you to go through all of them, but you can learn any 6 from the point of view of a long answer. Now, the first feature says social welfare law. Now, you have to remember that the Consumer Protection Act was basically formed for the social welfare of the people. Okay, this law was only related to consumers, only to address the consumers. Children, I think this will be logged out. I will be logging again. I'll just see if it continues. All right.
Ma'am, but only 10 minutes are left.
So I'm going to take your 2.
We can continue.
We'll continue. I'll be taking your 2 slots. Next slot also, I'll be taking you.
Ma'am, you can just update it, right?
Yeah.
No, but it requires money.
I'll give you the link again in case it gets disconnected. Okay, so you all stay tuned. Fine, in case it disconnects. All right. So the first one was social welfare law. It was this Consumer Protection Act was formed basically for the welfare of the consumers, basically to readdress any complaints which the consumer had. Second thing is comprehensive provisions and effective safeguards. This basically means that this law was very comprehensive. It included all the aspects related to consumers. All the types of protection was given to the consumer against any type of exploitation. So it was very effective Consumer Act as compared to the other laws which were formed. Third one is special consumer codes. Under this act, special consumer codes were formed basically to enforce the rights of the consumers. So there were many consumer codes which was formed where the consumer could go and appeal or file a complaint regarding their exploitation. Clear, everybody?
Yes.
Then the fourth point was, which I just mentioned in the objective, this act has created a 3-tier grievances redressal, which was at 3 levels. One was the district level, the next was the state level, and then was the national level. Now there was a difference why they have these 3 levels. If the complaint, if the customer had complained where the compensation was up to 20 lakh rupees, they were supposed to file a complaint at the district level. If the compensation was from above 20 lakh to 100 lakh rupees, they were supposed to file a complaint at the state level. And if the compensation was more than 100 lakh rupees, then they were supposed to file a complaint at the national level. Are you all clear?
Yes.
Okay, so that is why they had formed 3 different levels. They wanted the customers to appeal according to the amount of compensation at the 3 different levels. So that means if it was the value less, it would go to a district level. If the complaint value was high, it would go to state level. And if it was high, it would go to the national level. Clear, everybody?
Yes.
All right. Now the next one is simple and inexpensive. This Consumer Protection Act was very simple. That means all the procedures mentioned in the act were very simple. They were not elaborate. They were not complicated. There was no court fees charged for any complaints filed by the customers. In fact, it was not mandatory to hire an advocate also. It was optional. A customer could give a written complaint on a simple piece of paper to the court. So that is why we consider this act as very simple and inexpensive, so that any customer can file it if he feels that he's being getting exploited by the shopkeeper or the producer. All right. Now the 6th point covers goods and services. This means this act covers not only goods but also services. I hope you all remember what are services.
Yes.
Okay, so this act covers all the goods and services rendered to a customer. It can include, it will include all the services of private sector, public sector, or cooperative sector. So that means all the goods and services related either to private sector or public sector or a corporate society will come under the this act. Clear? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is time frame. This act says that there's a time limit for the disposal of cases. That means there's a time limit so that they can get a speedy redressal. Normally the time limit was 30 days. If a consumer feels that he's being exploited by a shopkeeper, he needs to file the complaint within 30 days of happening of that event. Okay, so why they have given a time limit? They had given a time limit so that the complaints can be readdressed very fast. You can get your compensation or you can get a solution very fast. Fine. Then next is class action. Now, class action means that this act says that a group of people together a common interest. Who's that? Can you please mute it? Okay. Now, class action says that that you can file the complaint in a group if you all have a common interest. If you feel that a group of customers are having a similar complaint, they all can together as a group and file a complaint. Fine. Now, the next one is check on unfair trade practices. This act covers complaints related to any unfair trade practices. That means any case of adulteration, any case of overcharging, any case of underweighing. All these things are covered under the act. In fact, the customer has the right to pick up a sample, get it analyzed, and if he finds that this product has some problem, he can file a complaint. All right. Next is check on overcharging. Now, this act also provides for complaints against any kind of excess of prices being charged as being displayed on the package. So if you feel the prices are charged more as more than the price written on the package, more than the MRP mentioned on the package, you have the right to file a complaint. And the last one is Consumer Protection Council. Now, Consumer Protection Council, as I've already told you, that under this act, they have created many consumer protection councils. The basic aim of the Consumer Protection Council is to educate the consumer, to help the consumer to be aware of their rights. So basically, what is the main purpose is to make them aware of their rights and to give them protection. So these are the 11 features of this act. You have to learn any 6 features. This question had come this year also, the features of the Consumer Protection Act. It is important. I want you to go through all of them and you can prepare any 6 features of this act. Are you clear?
Ma'am,
Yes.
I have a doubt.
Yes.
Ma'am, I did not understand the 8th point, class action.
Class action means that a group of people having a common complaint. For example, you are staying in a society or in an area where you feel that one particular shopkeeper is exploiting all of you. Okay, and you all have a similar complaint related to shopkeeper, and your interest is same, that you all are being overcharged for the product. So you all together complain as a group in the court rather than one person, each and every person going and complaining. You can together as a group give one complaint. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So with this, we complete the features of the Consumer Protection Act. I want you to open page number 37. Just see on page number 36 under the Consumer Protection Act 1986, give you too many laws and acts. You don't need to remember that. Okay. Come to the next page, that is the objectives. Please underline the first 4 lines.
Ma'am, till machinery.
Yes. Leave a line. Next line, award compensation to consumers. Then come to the features. Under the features, please underline under the first point, the last 3 lines. Unique law
From
directly pertains to consumer in the marketplace and to seek redress complaints arising therefrom. Come to the next point. Please underline the first 3 lines. Third point, underline the whole thing. Under the fourth point, you can underline the first 2 lines and you underline district, state, and national commission. Third, quasi-judicial in nature. This means that this is not a proper court, but a entity has been made which will address your complaints and might give penalty or punishment to the shopkeeper or retailer. Under the fifth point, underline the first 2 lines. In the fourth line, underline no court fee. Under the fifth line, in the fifth line, underline not